Magic of Mount Holly is quite a strange film because I didn't mind it. It was okay, but there are a lot of things wrong with it and not many things right with it. Yet somehow I didn't dislike watching it. So it's quite a peculiar experience. So I won't give any spoilers just in case you decide to watch it and maybe check it out for yourself for that reason. It's unusual that a film with so many problems is actually watchable and even slightly likable. This was released in 2021, written and directed by Candice Cain, and it stars Taryn Hacker as our protagonist Noelle, and we also have Cody Calafiore as our potential romantic love interest Tyler. Now, I will say the potential romantic aspect is basically non existent. I like Noelle and Tyler as a pairing. I think they work well on screen, but they're friends, and I didn't get any more than that. So, if you're looking for a classic Christmas rom com, this is not going to be one of those because there was just no romance between them whatsoever. If you're looking for a good story, well, this is one of the worst written stories ever. There is no conflict, nothing happens. Now, one can argue the weather is a conflict because Mount Holly has not had a lot of snow recently, and that means they've not had a lot of tourism, so a lot of the local businesses are not doing very well. However, we are basically just told this in a passing comment. We never get a real sense of how this is affecting the community. We hardly meet anybody who works or lives in the community. Nobody really has a chance to say, my business is struggling, these are problems. It's basically just hearsay, and therefore we never get that emotional connection. We never start to feel bad for the town and wish for snow because we don't really understand how it's affecting them. And our protagonist has no problems. And if you have a character with no problems, you're not going on a journey with them. She receives this paintbrush mysteriously, and then she starts to paint some pictures that seem to be quite magical. Now, that in itself is an interesting concept, but she doesn't have any problems. She's just opened this gallery. It goes really well. Everything is going smoothly for her. And there are no problems. It would have made so much more sense if she'd been a struggling artist, had maybe opened this business however many months ago and it was failing. And then this paintbrush could have helped bring it to life and, bring in more sales or whatever she needs. But there were no problems for her at all. So the narrative is one of the worst written things ever. I've never seen a film that I can remember that doesn't acknowledge or understand that you either need some kind of strong conflict that the viewer wants to get behind, that the viewer wants the characters to overcome, or the protagonist needs to be going through some kind of problem that they need to overcome. Noelle's life, all things considered, is pretty perfect. She's got a gallery that seems to be going really well. She's just met Tyler, and yeah, as I said, there's not really any romance between them, but clearly her love life is, in theory, going in a good direction. So what's the problem for her? Well, there isn't any. And as I said, one can argue that the lack of snow is a problem and it's causing issues for Mount Holly. But apart from a couple of characters just saying, there has been no snow, businesses are struggling, there's no actual emotion about that. And it's one of the worst written things ever. And it's not very festive. There's hardly any Christmas in it. So why did I like it? Honestly, I don't know. It's also quite badly filmed. Not a lot of it, but every now and then there'd be a couple of camera angles that are just so amateur, particularly the hockey game. The hockey game, which lasted far too long. The pacing there was terrible. But there were a couple of angles there that I just thought this doesn't feel like a professional quality production. And the music every now and then was so unnecessary, and it played over scenes where we didn't need music, and it was too loud that it was overshadowing some of the dialogue. So, all things considered, it's a terrible, terrible film. But why did I like it? Well, maybe like's too strong a word, but I didn't dislike it. I didn't get to the end of it and think I hated that experience. And I can't put my finger on why it is. Maybe it's the magic of Christmas, who knows? Also, I feel the conclusion with the paintbrush was also a tremendous disappointment. I feel like they tried to give a positive message, but I just feel like they answered too many questions that dispelled the magic of Christmas, so they kind of ruined that aspect of it. Honestly, it's a terrible film. And yet somehow I recommend it. I'd actually like other people to watch it just in case they feel the same way as I do, that there is something about it that's likable. And it's not even Noelle. I don't think Noelle's a likable character. She's not an unlikable character, but I didn't care for her. So if anybody wants to watch it and can identify what the redeeming feature is that makes it even slightly watchable, I'd be very keen to know. Personally, I can't put my finger on it, but I have to say, despite all of the problems with it, there is something about it that's okay. So if you can identify it, I'd love to know what that is. I will never watch it again, but honestly, despite all of the problems, I actually didn't mind it.